Hello, welcome to your yin yoga practice. My name is Laura with Kuhn, Kraft Yoga and Design. Today's practice is much slower paced than you would be used to if you've probably seen yoga before. You've probably seen vinyasa flows, which take you from pose to pose. Yin yoga practice will be much slower throughout the whole class. We'll maybe do about 7 poses. They will be from anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes a piece. This is a great practice for beginners. You'll find that we have time to get into each pose because we are holding them much longer, and we'll place more emphasis on how we're getting into the poses so that we aren't feeling excess tension. The goal of yin practice is to get deeper into the joints and the ligaments. So generally we start this, I would do it early in the morning when we're more cold and we're not warmed up. That way we're going more into the joints and less into the muscles. We will probably need blocks for this practice today. I'll at least use at least 1 or 2 blocks and maybe a bolster or a nice pillow if you have one. Also today we will work more into the stomach and spleen meridians. The stomach and spleen meridians run along the inside of the leg and also along the outside into the hip flexors. So that tells you today's practice will be more of a lower body practice, and we will get deeper into those hip areas. Also, working into those meridians and freeing up that energy line, we will help ease any anxiety or worry you might be experiencing, any overthinking. And it's also a great time during a yin practice because we have so much time within each pose. We are able to move more inward instead of just focusing on how we look and transitioning from pose to pose. So you're able to take that time and move inward, focus on your breath, and help slow down your mind. So again, grab your blocks or a bolster to get started, and we will start in child's pose. We'll be here for several breaths, so I won't necessarily talk the whole time, but just be reassured, even if you're not looking at the camera, we're still in the pose, and I'll let you know when we're coming out of it. And we will hold these from about 3 to 5 minutes. So starting off in child's pose, take your knees wide. This will be a wide-legged child's pose. Your big toes pretty close together, and you'll sit back. Now, maybe even this is a little too much for you and you want a blanket or something underneath your knees so that you don't have to come all the way back. That's really nice too. Just come to a comfort level for you, and only to a point of stretching, never to a point of tension. Since we're holding these poses for several minutes, you will tend to ease into the pose, but we don't want to feel any sharpness or any pain at any time. If you do feel that, make sure you ease out of the pose and then come back in. And we'll stay here for a few minutes. Go ahead and put your arms out long in front of you and then just rest your forehead on the mat. From here, we'll just take gentle breaths in and out. Relaxing the muscles of the face and the jaw. Feel the breath traveling down your spine, all the way through the back body, as well as through the front body. Inhale, send that energy deep down all the way through the back line of the body. And feel it into your hips. Exhale, release any tension that you feel in the body. And from here, we're going to transition to a twist. Onto our hands and knees, into an all fours position. And we're going to take the right arm and thread it underneath the left until the right ear just touches the mat. And from here, you can take your left arm out in front of you on the mat like this. You can also bring it behind you for a twist. Maybe even grabbing the inside of the right hand thigh. And we'll hold this position in through the nose and out. Just relaxing. Twists help open up the energy to aid us in our digestion. Again, opening up that stomach meridian. Helping with any anxiety we have during our day. You will continue to have many thoughts as you're in these very long held positions, but just watch them, observe them, stay unattached to those thoughts, let them go.
come out of this pose. If you had the bind, go ahead and unravel the left arm. Place it down alongside your head and use the left hand to push yourself up
and out of the pose. And we will counter this pose with just another child's pose for only a few breaths.
Coming back up to all fours.
We will do our thread the needle pose on the left-hand side. Just got to move my bolster out of the way. Taking the left hand, thread it underneath the right arm. And now we're going to rest on our left ear. Again, right arm can come up to the top of the mat for support. Or if you feel like bringing it back behind you, you can bring it back behind your back, maybe grabbing the inside of the left thigh. Pushing down into that left shoulder and keeping the chest open. Continue to take steady breaths. As you inhale, start to unravel and bring your right arm to the side of your head and use your right hand to push yourself up and back. Once more into child's pose. And just a short transition here, and we'll come up to all fours. And this time you're going to swing your legs around and come into staff pose or Dandasana. Legs out straight in front of you. Feel the backs of the legs make their connection to the earth and the mat. And hands are right along the hips, maybe just slightly back. As you sit up tall through the spine, and we'll just take about 5 to 10 breaths here. Shoulders are back and down, creating extra space between the shoulders and the ears. From here, we will take Hero Pose. Hero Pose can be very challenging for most people. It can be cause more stress on the knees than you may appreciate at first. So I suggest taking a bolster or maybe a thick pillow from your couch and using it to sit on. And you'll see as I demonstrate the pose that this can be very helpful, just giving yourself a little bit of height. Props are always a huge help throughout many yoga poses. So Hero Pose, first we'll come to our knees and then take your prop, a bolster or pillow or whatever, what have you, and just come to the edge of it. And then you're going to take your heels just to the outside of your bum. So just to the outside so that your shins are outside of your thighs just slightly. If you need a little bit more pillows, maybe grab an extra pillow or an extra bolster and to even take it higher if you need that height. From here, we will take, if you're able to, if it's not comfortable, we will skip that. But if you're able, go ahead and lean back on your hands. You can even come to your forearms if it's available to you. And we're going to hold that pose for several minutes. I'm going to remove my bolster. I feel comfortable doing this pose without it. I do not feel any sharpness or tightening within my knees or anywhere within my legs. So I'm going to do it without the bolster. And you can start to lower yourself back either on your hands or on your forearms, or maybe all the way to the ground if you're comfortable with that. And perhaps the longer you hold this pose, maybe you feel like you can go deeper, going from hands to the forearms or forearms all the way down to the mat. Remember, if at any time it doesn't feel right, adjust and do what you need to do to find your edge and where you feel the stretch, but you can tolerate it. Maybe you bring your awareness to your points of connection with the earth, whether it is just the shins or maybe the whole back line of the body. Being aware of the support and the stability and the ease that we feel with this connection with the earth. Now, to come out of this pose is probably one of the more challenging parts. If you're all the way down on your back, you're going to come to your forearms and you're going to use your core strength to help drive your body up. Use that strength to take the tension and some of the effort out of your legs. So, first come to the forearms, and then the hands, and then pushing yourself up all the way until you come to back to staff pose. And we'll put the legs out long again in front of us. And this time, maybe just giving a little tap along the mat. Get some of that blood flow back through them. Feel that energy being released throughout the legs. And now we'll take ourselves to the center of the mat and we're going to set up for Dragonfly Pose, also called wide leg forward pose in yoga. Now, for this pose, you don't need to go your full extension for your wide leg pose, just as much as you are comfortable. And our goal is to relax again into the pose. So I suggest having a block. And I like to have my block. I generally will start at the highest level and have my forehead resting on it. And just so I don't pull or try to pull myself too much into the pose, I keep my palms face up so that I continue to stay relaxed. And just gently drop my forehead onto the block. And breathe and relax into the pose. As we hold this for a little while longer, feel free to adjust your block, maybe on a lower setting. As you feel that tension come out of the lower body, you may find that you can get a little bit deeper and deeper the longer that we're here. Embrace the stillness.
Just a little bit longer here. To come out of this pose, put the effort into your hands to help walk yourself up
And push yourself up until you come back to center. And from here, we're going to go into a side body, wide-legged forward stretch. So dragonfly side bend to the right. And here, there's a couple different ways. We don't have to go necessarily as deep into the pose. You can take a block and have your right arm like so. And maybe you just go here. And that is totally fine. If you want, you can rest your left arm over the top of your head. If you want to come down further, I kind of like to take my right arm and just hold my head. That way I can just relax my head into the stretch. And then the left arm alongside the left ear. Keep the chest open. And just holding here. Maybe closing the eyes. Breathing deeply into that left side body. Feeling it widen and open with each breath. From here, go ahead and take your left arm, and you can help use that to bring yourself back up to center. We will do a small counter twist, twisting to the left, just to counter that pose before we head and lean over onto our left side. Again, you can bring the arm to a block and stay up here. You can go all the way to the mat. Cradle your head in your hand, and then take the right arm up alongside the right ear and side bend to the left. Try to keep that right hip planted firmly into the mat so that we're not tipping and leaning over onto the left. We want to keep that right hip planted. So if that is difficult, then I suggest using a block and just staying a bit higher. Notice the length that you're feeling throughout the side of the right body. Continue to breathe. Nice steady breaths in and out. Opening up those lines of energy on the side. There aren't too many times of the day that we actually do side bending. And to come out of this pose, go ahead and take the right arm down. You can help use that to push yourself back up to center. And we'll counter with a little twist to the right. Just counteract that big, big side stretch we had. And from here, you can use your hands to help ease your legs back in. And we will just cross our legs into an easy sit. And again, we'll twist to counteract some of those poses and also to free up, continue to free up that energy along the stomach meridian. And just because twist just feels so good. Twisting to the left. We inhale and exhale. Inhale. And on the exhale, maybe go a little deeper. Spine stays straight. Inhale to come out of the twist, and we'll exhale, take the twist to the right. Inhale, exhale, twisting deeper, looking over your right shoulder. One last inhale. And we exhale, come back to center. One last pose today before we finish up the sequence, and it's happy baby pose. So we'll come to our backs. Slowly lower onto your backs and bring the feet in. Maybe give yourself a quick hug. Oh, lost my headband. That's okay. And from here, you can either take your toes, like so, or maybe the outside edge of the foot, and come into happy baby pose. The shin and the thigh, we're aiming for almost a 90-degree angle. And we also want to keep the lower back and the tailbone driving into the mat and feeling that push into the mat so that we can keep our back nice and glued to the earth. And with our feet, we are driving the feet into the hands and at the same time pulling the knees down towards the earth. So those two sides of opposition, the push with the foot and then the pull of the hands back towards the earth, and keeping our back nice and flat along the mat. We'll hold here for a few breaths before we finish up our practice. Maybe noticing a difference from the start of the class to now, a difference in your hips. And maybe your mind has slowed down. And maybe it hasn't, and that's fine too. You took the time to practice today, and that's all that matters. Take one more deep breath in and out. And we come out of Happy Baby Pose, and we're going to go right into our Shavasana. Take the feet to the mat. Extend the legs out long. Take up some space on your mat. Let the feet fall open. The arms go out to your sides. And just rest your eyes. You can stay here for as long as you need to. Think about the changes again that you feel within the body and within the mind. Let go of things that do not serve you. This is your time to absorb all that you've just done in this practice today and to appreciate the hard work that you did. It may be a slow moving practice, but it can be quite challenging to keep the mind still and the body still for a long period of time. Coming back to a seat, we can just start to return our breath back to normal. Thank you so much for joining me on this yin yoga practice today. If you like this practice and want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will continue to have more yoga practices available on my channel. Thank you and have a terrific day.